live. Okay. Alrighty. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us so early on a Friday. As you all know, we have a pro forma coming up here a little bit later, but we do have Eastern Shore delegation, so we've got a hard stop at 5 till 9. So we'll try to breeze through this stuff the best that we can. Dan, if you could bring up the agenda on the screen there and the share screen, so we just have something to go off of. Just
Sure,
if I could confirm, did everyone receive the agenda and have a chance to review it? Okay, excellent. Okay. Well, we'll start off with the delegation recommended bills. We have 4 total for discussion today. Nothing too exciting. And some of these are repeats from last year. So as soon as Dan gets that up, we'll have a look at it. We'll start with an easy one. The town of Charlestown, and they had put in this bill last year, is exploring golf carts within town limits. We've worked with their council and their town staff, Brian Leitner, and come up with this language. It's unanimously approved, also approved by the county. Additionally, we have directed them to contact, and I thank Delegate Jacobs for this, Delegate Vaughn Stewart is working on a statewide bill that would address this as well. So I'm jumping around. I'm on number 2, HB 275. But we've asked them to work with Delegate Stewart on his bill, and at the same time, we're going to submit ours, just in case something goes wrong or there's amendments or changes made. So do I have any questions on that one? Again, a repeat from last year. Okay, Delegate Jacobs.
Yeah, we had the hearing on that bill yesterday, the statewide bill.
Yep.
And I thought it went pretty well, but that's enabling legislation, which the town of Charlestown can work out the details, assuming this bill passes. I would still put the bill in, just in case, but I think there's a good chance that bill will pass, that creates the enabling legislation for all these towns. Because, there's certain criteria that has to be met, and I think that decision at the local level is a little better. So hopefully that'll pass, but I'd still put the bill in just for insurance.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions or comments on number 2 there? Okay, we'll jump back up to number 1. Number 1, HB 843. This is the cannabis enforcement bill, and this was a request from the county attorney for Cecil County. Basically, as you all know, we passed the comprehensive cannabis legislation and ballot referendum in previous years. The state has given the powers of enforcement to a body within the state, the Cannabis Commission, and as a result, because they're understaffed, they're really not doing much enforcement at all. It's just a small office located in Central Maryland, and there's a major concern that these dispensaries, not only the ones that are licensed, but unlicensed places, just like gas stations and the like, are selling products that are either non-conforming or illegal, or they're potentially selling to minors. So this bill, and the description of this bill was that it would enable our liquor or alcohol board members or their inspectors or their designee to enter the premises where these products are being sold, the licensed dispensaries, and they would have the ability to inspect. They would have no enforcement ability. They couldn't shut down a business. They also couldn't issue fines. They could just gather information, and then they could take that information and turn it over to the state board to hopefully prompt law enforcement action. I see a question there, Delegate Ahrens.
Yeah, just I guess my concern really comes up is, are there real problems? I haven't heard these problems. That doesn't mean they aren't there. I don't really interface with dispensaries that much. And I just am wondering if there's really something out there to warrant this. And I'm not sure whether the locals, that's an expense to the locals, isn't it?
So the Cecil County Liquor Board and the county attorney are the ones that recommended this.
Again, are there real issues out there that we're missing? Is there any? I don't know of anything out there we're missing.
Yeah, I don't have any direct anecdotes, but their argument is that we don't know until we know. So this gives them the ability to go out and gather information.
So you're going to put this under the liquor board, like it's liquor, and this person now got to know liquor, or is he just process? I guess my confusion is that this bill is getting hammered right now, and I mean, not this bill, but this whole process is getting hammered a lot, and I don't know what the state's going to do, and we really don't have a real mechanism. I just wonder how that will affect moving forward, and what powers and who it really affects in the end, because gas stations are gas stations. Liquor, we're able to do 21 and all that stuff, but I don't know if there's any real things set up for cannabis other than just go out and buy it. It's free for all.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we did reach out to the cannabis board and their leadership with the state, and they said that they just don't have the resources or the staff to go out and do these inspections at all right now. They're hoping to get additional funding and additional full-time employees, but they said they don't want to lose any of their enforcement ability, and we would have to completely change the charter if we wanted to give enforcement capabilities to the liquor board. So again, they're just there for information gathering. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't. I get it. I appreciate that, Kevin.
Okay, Senator Hershey had a question.
Yeah, Kevin, without seeing the rest of the bill, it just says an inspector may enter a premise licensed under Title 36, Subtitle 4.
Correct.
Is that cannabis section, or is that alcoholic beverage section?
That's I believe, under the cannabis.
That's under the cannabis. So my only issue is it still has to be a licensed facility, right? I mean,
Correct.
So going back to what you said earlier, I was a little bit more on board. I mean, not that I'm not on board, but more that they would be able to go into a gas station where they're, potentially selling the Delta 8, Delta 9, other type of synthetics that are largely illegal still to sell. But this doesn't appear as though it would cover that. It just really says that if you're already licensed, then they can go in and take a look around, which I'm not against that, but I just want to know if there's already somebody that can go and look at these gas stations for selling the illegal synthetic products.
So to answer your question, the way that the statute is set up is that a licensed dispensary could not decline or prohibit these inspectors from coming on as the bill is written.
Right.
However, they do have the ability to go to other places, such as gas stations, and collect information, but there's still some question about whether or not that gas station owner could deny them access. Does that make sense?
I think I see your intent. Your intent is what I am looking for as well too. I think they should be able to go into the gas stations and take a look around,
Right.
And even if they can't issue a citation, they could report back to somebody, but at least it gives
Correct.
an authority the ability to look around, as I think we may see more of this synthetic product out there.
Yeah, this is a very novel approach to a very recent problem.
Right.
How are these going to be overseen? This isn't a perfect solution for that, but it's going to do two things. One, if we do have a complaint, we'll be able to address it quickly at the county level. And then two, we're hoping that it will spur action at the state level to get the adequate folks to do the enforcement.
Agreed. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, are there any other questions on item number 1, the cannabis enforcement?
Yeah, well, hey, Kevin, one more thing. When you say dispensary, this has nothing to do with growers or anything like that, right?
No,
Okay.
just the retail.
Just
the
retail.
final,
Okay.
Yeah, with the
All
customer.
right, thanks.
Alrighty. So let's jump down to number 3. annual report filing. So this was also at the request of the county. The way that their county charter is written, when they submit their financial statements for the year, it does not align with the state requirements. So as a result, every year they submit their report about a month late. Now, they have a waiver for that, and legislative services is fine with the delay. However, this fixes that problem and puts Cecil County in the posture of all of these other counties that are listed. So we're just adding Cecil County to that list. And that way it's in alignment with their county charter. So this again was a request of theirs. And I thank the senators for putting that in. And we've requested that that bill be cross-filed as well. Senator Hirsch, did you have a question?
Yeah, we had the bill hearing on Wednesday. It was less than a minute long. It just required a Cecil County Senate delegation letter, and we received a letter from the county executive as well too. I don't think there'll be any problems with that.
Yep. Yeah, very simple, straightforward bill.
Yep.
Do you need the county council too on that?
I think the submitting the budget or submitting this as a executive function, but that's a good question. They didn't have.
Might be a good idea to have both on both those bills, cannabis bill and this.
Yeah, pending approval here by the delegation, obviously we will get letters of support from both the council and county executive.
Okay.
And I dare to say there's probably going to be a number of other bills that are not delegation bills that the county is going to be supporting as well, through MACO and the like. All right. Number 4 was brought to our attention by Delegate Griffith. And my understanding of the bill is that it basically extends the ability that was granted during COVID for outdoor seating and dining. And it's his intent to have it as a co-county bill between Hartford and Cecil. So if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to Delegate Griffith, and he can explain it in more detail. But I will say that our county executive's office did look over the bill, and they don't have any issues with it. So with that, Delegate Griffith.
Sure. Thanks, Delegate Hornberger. And again, so what we're trying to do here is, again, it's well documented, the executive order that gave permission to restaurants to be able to expand their restaurants, bars, breweries to expand their outdoor dining to be able to stay afloat during COVID. As a result of this, many of these establishments have made significant investments into their outdoor dining. So I want to try to find a way to codify that. Now, something I learned from this process is when doing a bill like this, you need to have at least 2 jurisdictions of the same government to move forward simultaneously to pass this bill. So that was an interesting learning process. So obviously looking to Hartford and Cecil County to do this. Certainly I'm open to any amendments, modify the language to make it more palatable. I will be throwing on an amendment from Hartford County's Liquor Control Board that would give them the authority to over any reasonable restrictions or conditions imposed. It would give them authority to make sure the language says any reasonable restrictions or conditions imposed by any alcoholic beverage licensing authority. So it would give them authority over this to make sure it's not out of bounds of state laws, ADA, federal laws, of course, the ability to enforce liquor laws and things of that nature. So we'll put that guardrail in there. And I'm wide open to any other amendments, thoughts. But what I'm attempting to do here is just, again, codify this privilege to all those entities so they don't have to, if this executive order expires, doesn't get renewed, they don't have to lose all that investment they've made.
Yeah, I believe that Senator Hershey has a question.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay, just to clarify this section C that you have here,
Mhm.
would the liquor board be conducting inspections for fire code, ADA, and health and safety laws?
Well, so under C, number 4 would be any reasonable restrictions or conditions imposed by any alcoholic beverage licensing authority. That's the early language of the amendment we intend to add to this.
Okay, well, I would have I would have a concern if you've got a liquor board, trying to interpret ADA law, but I don't think that's your intent.
It's not my intent.
Okay. All right. So conceptually, again, this appears to be a pro-business bill, and I know that a number of bars and restaurants in both Hartford and Cecil have plunked down a lot of money to improve their outdoor spaces, especially the Main Street type businesses. Delegate Aaron's, you serve on this committee. Do you have any thoughts?
My only comment, I said this, I haven't really got to, I apologize, Mike, I didn't get a chance to look at it yesterday that much, but the intent of our guys was to eliminate some of the things we did, special things we did during COVID. And again, I understand it might be some business things here and some pro-business, and I agree with it. It's just that there was a lot of things done back then that enabled people to do some things. My one question I did have, does this allow them to do it for any establishment within the 2 counties? Can they just all of a sudden start putting 1,000 of these up?
No, it's restaurants, bars, and breweries. And
Well,
Um,
new restaurants, will they have the option to do this also?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Uh,
I don't think it's a real problem, but it's a consideration. I apologize, Mike. I didn't dig into it.
Oh no, it's good. And thing is, I understand the point of, wanting to make it just for establishments who did this during COVID, so they don't lose their investment. But then that may give those establishments an unfair advantage over new establishments who were not open during that time. So again, all we're not trying to blow the whole thing open. If someone would like to see the language changed a little bit, I'm happy to do that. But we just really tried to rip off the language from the executive order and codify it for the 2 counties.
Yeah, and in the interest of time, because we can make a motion here on the bills. If you were to come up with an amendment, just keep in mind we'd have to bring that amendment back to the delegation and then vote on that amendment as well.
And I'm okay not voting on this today, and we can look at it next week. I just want to introduce it and get people a chance to absorb it.
Yeah, well, what I can say is, does anyone have any objections to the 4 bills that were listed today?
No, I don't.
All right, if no objection, I'd like to make a motion to move all 4 bills as approved. And should there be a need for an amendment, we would need to come back to this forum and vote on that amendment before the bill could move forward. So do I
Second.
have a second as a consent calendar? Okay. All those in favor of the bills as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, fantastic. Okay, moving down to item number 3 there. We have had a bevy of bond bill requests, all unique and helpful to our communities. I have received direction from Delegate Grice that these are austere budget times. We are facing a deficit, so we might not be able to fund all of these. So the best approach would be to prioritize them. We don't want to tell anyone that they can't participate. And then there's also some other funding streams that we can look at as well to try to help with these projects. So I'll just go down them very quickly with a short description. We don't have to vote on that today, but I just want everybody to get a flavor of what they're trying to do here. So on number 1, we have the Town of Northeast digital sign. At the intersection there going into town, there was a major road construction, and this is where the library was built. It removed the Welcome to Northeast sign on the state-owned state highway property. They're looking to put that sign back up, and they'd like to go to a digital sign. We are still awaiting a final location for that sign. And as a result, that may bump this project into next year if we can't get consensus in the next week or 2 about location. So hold tight on that one. The second is the Northeast, also Town of Northeast Nature Preserve. The town was donated a large parcel of basically a swamp and marsh area and they're looking to do a study to put in dock space and trails. So this would fund that engineering study and be able to fold that property into the rest of the town park that's currently existing. The next one, if you could jump back to that list, Dan, is the, Dan, if you could bring the list back up. Yeah, I'm just waiting on the screen share here.
Kevin, that's the LBI list.
Yeah, but it's not showing on the shared screen.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay.
If you go back
My
to the
bad.
agenda.
Sure,
Yep.
sure. Yep. Okay.
The next one is, just want to stay in order here, the Plumpton Park Zoo. So the Plumpton Park Zoo is expanding and is now fully under the auspice of a nonprofit. The property's been transferred, and they're looking to do a tiger and lion cage. We do have a pamphlet that I'll share with you that they already have the drawings, they already have the layout of the space. They're just looking for funding for construction. The next one is the Freedom Hills Therapeutic Riding Program. They have a barn there where they conduct their nonprofit operation and are looking to put on a new roof. And then I know we also just received yesterday from Senator Gallion's office a request for trails, Lower Susquehanna Greenway in the town of Perryville. That's also a big one too. We want to do a rails and trail space. And then we had an additional one that came from the leadership at Rising Sun High School. And Senator, you could speak more to that, but I think we were just looking for some additional guidance from either the school board or the superintendent.
Yeah, I think that's correct. That came like from the mayor. It was to upgrade the fence around the field and also the public address system.
Okay.
So I have to see how that works with, with the school board and everything else. Normally that stuff wouldn't be funded through an LBI, I don't believe.
No, it's typically the county funding or the project funding within the CCPS.
So maybe that's something, if we could work another avenue on it, would free up some whatever funds available for other projects. So we'll just have to kind of look into it some more. Seems like a worthwhile project. So hopefully we can get them in the right direction and get that, get something moving on that.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I'm an alumni of Rising Sun High School, so I want to help them any way I can. But so what we will do is we will get a description together for each one of these initiatives and share them with the delegation, and then we'll have a subsequent meeting where we decide what our priorities are, and then back that up with the dollar amounts. Okay. The next item, we're getting ready to run out of time here, but we did request that the Donaldson Brown funding to upgrade their center for their school program there with the University of Maryland. However, that did not make it onto the governor's capital budget. So we're going to try to put that in the supplemental. It was a large request, over $500,000. So, I'll lean on my colleagues in the appropriations and all that to try to get that in there. And then next, we want to restore our community college funding. Obviously, this is a statewide issue, and we're working with MAC to try to restore that funding. So just, continue to pull any levers that you have and getting back them to hold harmless. Any questions on the budget items or everything that we've covered today? Okay, excellent. Well, I really want to thank everyone for getting started early. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, great. All those in favor say aye and have a nice Friday. We'll see everybody at Eastern Shore. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin.